Ndinokuwasai mose muzita raishe wedu tenzi Jesu Kristu. Nyasha dzaishe wedu Jesu Kristu ngadzive nemi kwose kwamungadai muri. This is the word of truth. In this platform we critically analyze matters pertaining the doctrine of our Lord Jesus Christ. So for today we are going to discuss about the covenant. Kana tichiti covenant tinotaura sungano iri pakati pavaviri, vatatu, vana kana namba inopfuura. So for today we are going to focus much on the two major covenants, which is the Old Testament and the New Testament. So this topic is given an example, which is on Galatians chapter 4 verse number 21. This reads, ndiudzei imi munoda kuva pasi pomurayiro, hamuteereri murayiro here? Nokuti kwakanyorwa kuti Abhurahama wakanga ana vanakomana vaviri, mumwe womurandakadzi, mumwe womukadzi wakasununguka. Zvino womurandakadzi wakaberekwa nenzira yenyama, asi womukadzi wakasununguka wakaberekwa sezvaakapikirwa. Zvinhu izvi zvinofananidzira, nokuti vakadzi ava vaviri isungano mbiri, imwe inobva pagomo reSinai inobereka vana vouranda ndiye Agari. Zvino Agari ndiro gomo reSinai muArabhia, rakaenzana neJerusarema razvino, nokuti uri pauranda iye navana vake. Zvino Jerusarema riri kumusoro rakasununguka ndiro amai vedu, nokuti kwakanyorwa kuchinzi, fara iwe usingabereki, usingazvari, pururudza udanidzire iwe usingatamburi nokubereka, nokuti vana vomusiyiwa vazhinji kunova iye uno murume. So this is the example that we were given, the example that explains about the relationship between those two covenants. So we are given the family of Abraham, which is the example of the two covenants that we are going to discuss about. So there is a critical situation in this example that we were given that needs a proper attention so that we can understand the mystery behind this critical situation. The critical situation is this: we usually know that the things that comes first are always things that described as old, and the things that came last are things that usually being described as new. But we see that this Sarah is the old wife, is the first wife, but now she is being described as the allegory of the new covenant. However, seeing Hagar being the last wife, the new wife being described as an allegory of the old covenant. So this is how critical the situation of covenant is. So we are now going to unveil the critical situation that is behind this situation. So we are going to start on explaining on the old covenant, which is the Old Testament. So the Old Testament, this is the covenant that is between God and the chosen people of Israel, that was unveiled on the Mount Sinai, where we see God give his commands to the chosen tribe of Israel, where we see God unveil his will to the people of Israel. So this, as we see that it was given example that this Old Testament is like Hagar. So sezvatinoziva kana sezvataudzwa kuti Hagari akanga ari murandakadzi waSara. So this also shows us that this Old Testament serves as the servant of the New Testament, as we can read on chapter 4 verse number 1 says, zvino ndinoti mudyi wenhaka kana achiri mwana haatongosiyani nomuranda kunyange ari ishe wazvose. Verse 2, asi uri pasi pavatariri navachengeti kusvikira panguva yakatarwa nababa. So we are seeing that the partakers of this Old Testament are under the influence, are under the control of the servant until the time it is revealed. So this shows that this Old Testament was initiated waiting for the time of the New Testament to be revealed, as it is written on the chapter of Galatians 3 verse 23, which says that kutenda kusati kwasvika taichengetwa pasi pomurayiro. This simply means that the terms the law and faith, the term faith usually used in place of the New Testament, and the term law usually used in terms of the Old Testament. So if the word says that kutenda kusati kwasvika taichengetwa pasi pomurayiro, this simply means that before the New Testament came, we were kept under the Old Testament. So this is the situation which is on the Old Testament, and we should not forget that this Old Testament, this is the testament which was between God and the people with a sinful nature. A sinful nature simply means that these people are prone to sin. So this sinful nature is the characteristics of death, as we understand from the chapter of 1 Corinthians 15 verse 56, which says that sin is the sting of death. Kana tichiti sin is the sting of death, tikuti chivi ndicho rumborera rwerufu. Kana tichitaura rumborera, we have the example tichikura zviya tiri kumusha taiti kana munhu akarumwa, tikatarisa paarumwa tikaona paine kamborera kanenge karipo, izvozvo zvaitizivisa kuti munhu arumwa nenyuchi. So kana tichiti sin, chivi ndicho chimborera cherufu, kureva kuti kana tikaona chivi zvinotiratidza kuti pane rufu rwuripo. So if we see the sting of death, this shows that there is death in that man. So if we want to explain something that can be easily come clear, we need to go on the roots so that we can trace where exactly this sin, where exactly this death comes from. So we are going to refer to the chapter of Genesis 1 verse number 26, which says that God created man in his own image and gave him power over all the creatures. On chapter 2 verse number 7 says that God formed man from the dust of the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So we are seeing the state of man on his creation. It is, he was created on the image of God, and he became the living soul. So on chapter 2 number 16, we see God commanded man that he can eat each and every fruit of the trees that are in the Garden of Eden, except the tree that was on the midst of the garden, which was the tree of knowledge. So God says that by the day you will eat that tree of knowledge, you will die. So in this command, we see God says that by the day you will eat that tree of life, that tree of knowledge, you shall die. So we see the serpent came to Eve asking him that, does God says that you shall not eat any of the tree that is on the Garden of Eden? But Eve replied, says that we are allowed to eat every of the trees in the Garden of Eden except the tree that is on the midst of the Eden. God says that by the day we eat that tree, we shall die. But we heard the devil says that you shall not die. But God knows that by the time you eat this, you will be same with him. So we saw in this today's life, this is the way in which the devil operates. Devil always denounce the word God has announced. So we see that men disobey God, and then they eat the tree of knowledge that they was not allowed to eat. So we allow sin as from the command of God, which says that by the day you will eat the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, you will die. So we see death enter into Adam the same day he ate the tree of life, the tree of knowledge. So there are various evidence which shows that Adam have died the same day he ate the tree of knowledge. So as we have heard that sin is the sting of death. So we saw the sin appear in Adam, the sin of disobedience. This only shows that Adam is now dead. By the time we are seeing the sin on Adam's life, which is the sin of disobedience, this shows that there is now already death in his life. This is the first evidence. The second evidence, we are now seeing that Adam was created being in a glorious image of God. But now we are seeing Adam on a shameful image, trying to cover up himself with the leaves of the fig tree. This shows that Adam have lost the glorious image of God. So there is another evidence which shows that Adam have died the same day he ate the tree of knowledge. We saw that when God entered the Garden of Eden looking for Adam, he didn't saw him. So what we should understand is that when God was looking for Adam, he wasn't looking him physically, but he was looking for a spiritual being. So he didn't found a spiritual being because Adam was no longer a spiritual being, but he was now flesh. So there is another evidence which shows that Adam died on the same day he ate the tree of life. We saw on the chapter 6 of Genesis, whereas